Hello and welcome to Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. No Jens today, so I'm just going to gab solo for a bit. And I want to let you know that today on the program, I have a band called Hush Kids, which I had the opportunity to talk to Jill and Peter from Hush Kids and talk to them a little bit about their individual projects as well as their combined project of working together with Hush Kids, the dynamic between that as well as individual music they make, some of the monumental points of their careers, which was really fun. We'll get into all that in just a little bit. Before we get started, I will say I have a Torpedo Sierra Nevada IPA and an RNH beer, Three Color Demons, Tell 'em Steve Dave beer glass, frosted, of course, that I am drinking right now. Delicious. Tell 'em Steve Dave being my favorite podcast. For those that are watching on YouTube, you're able to see the beer glass. I guess it's a good opportunity for me to plug the socials. You can check us out on YouTube at Concert Pipeline. Same thing with Instagram and Twitter at those handles, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Concert Pipeline Pod. Subscribe and like us on Apple Podcast and on Stitcher, all the fun stuff. Show the love, and we'll keep giving great podcasts back to you. So yeah, I'm drinking a beer. It's been a day, I'll just say, where I took the kids. Let's back up a step or two, right? I took the kids camping this past weekend on my dad's property up in Nevada City, California. We camped in his backyard. He has a big, expansive backyard with lots of room, and we set up the tent and camped back there. We went on a railroad and took a little train ride, which was fun. Roasted dogs and made s'mores. Had a good, relaxing weekend, and then on the way back, I got a call from my kid's stepdad saying, hey, their mom wouldn't ask this, but can you keep the kids? Their brother is sick and don't want to get them sick. And of course, the answer is yes. My kids are never an inconvenience to me. I love them to pieces, and they're not an inconvenience. I do plan my work week, in which I work from home. I plan that around my kid time, trying to make the days that I have kids lighter during the summer, so I can not be in meetings all day or anything, and really stack more of that on the early part of the week, which I usually get the kids Wednesday afternoon after I'm off work. So I'll have them Thursday and Friday, and sometimes my mom helps as well and takes the kids to the pool at the gym, or just hangs out with them on a day or something. But I get the call. Of course, the answer is yes. My day was already planned on Monday to have a bunch of meetings, so I was able to move one of them, but I had a pretty packed day. And I gave the kids some extra responsibility and trust to be able to go on a walk outside of the property we live on. And so kind of built that respect into them. And then after I'm off work, I went for a bike ride with my son around the neighborhood. We had a great time and went to the grocery store. And that's when shit hit the fan. He and his sister kept asking to put things in the shopping cart, kept asking for sugary shit that they do not need. I kept saying, no, we don't need that, right? I shut it down repeatedly and was repeatedly asked for items, and especially from my son, who insisted on Mario fruit snacks and other character soup and this sort of thing that he would not take no on, and ended up throwing the Mario snacks on the ground when I asked him to put it back. And then we get to the checkout aisle, and I'm just like, done. And I'm like, okay, we're getting out of here, right? And we're in the checkout stand, and the cashier is checking our items through. And then my son pushes my daughter into the bagger. I thought he had just pushed her into the cart, which again was embarrassing enough. But I saw there was a push, and so I was as calm as possible. I told him, I was like, "You're in trouble," and then and then didn't react. And when we got out of the store, he continued to lose his shit a bit. And we called up his mom. Wasn't a pleasant conversation, and went home. More of this behavior occurred after this, to the point where my son's stepfather came to my house. They live out of town, a town over, and he came to my house for 2 minutes just to deliver a message to my son, to let him know that if this behavior continued, then he would be taken back to his mom's house. Typically, my son would love to go to his mom's house because he loves playing Nintendo Switch, and he gets an extreme amount of that at his mom's house. He does not have that here, but I do, sometimes let him watch TV and play Sega Genesis or whatever, so if he wants to. I was pretty generous even today with those items, but he didn't want to go to his mom's house. And I made that clear that he did not want to go to his mom's house because his brother's sick. And if he goes there, he will not get to go to his best friend's birthday party this weekend, my best friend's son. And so he shaped up his attitude, and where the message was delivered. So we'll see how that sticks over the next couple of days. But I'll definitely tell you, it was an evening, and parents will understand. You run through this stuff. It sucks. It's not fun. It's part of being a parent, and I'm hopeful that the next couple of days are a lot easier. I want my son to be able to go to his best friend's birthday, and I told him, I was like, look, if you have to go to your mom's house and you can't go to your friend George's party, then that doesn't just affect you. That affects him as well. He wants his best friend to be at his birthday party. So let's be on good behavior, right? So we ended on an okay note, but I need some beer. So I'll be drinking a little bit during this podcast, if you don't mind. All right, tastes great. Okay. So that's my story about what's going on. Good weekend and a lot of extra time with the kids that I wasn't expecting, but I'll take it, right? Okay, what else? We have some fun interviews coming up. Also, working on some stuff in way into the future, and a number of interviews that are being worked on for the coming weeks. So, without going too far down the road, I'll just say that next week we have you, me, and everyone we know on the program, reunited in a sense, and we'll be able to chat with them. Ben from that band, but right now, like I said, Hush Kids, they're from Nashville. Oh man, I didn't even get to talk to them about their long history with Nashville. Jill's lived in Nashville for over 10 years, and Peter's lived there for 19 years. So I want to know what it is about Nashville that keeps them, rooted there, and how they are able to find that at home. But I didn't ask them about it. But I did get to crack into a lot of items, including their new EP, Weatherman, which comes out on September 24th. So recommend that. I was able to give it a listen. And Ian Fitchuk was produced it, who they've worked with extensively on Hush Kids materials and also on their solo materials as well. So really recommend that. And we have a fun chat about Weird Al. Okay, fine. I'm not going to spoil everything, but I will say that this was a really enjoyable conversation. I'm going to bring Hush Kids in on the program. So here it is. Hey, Jill, Peter, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Good. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So you guys are in Nashville, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Where are you?
I am in Napa, California myself.
Oh, well, that doesn't suck.
No,
Right.
it very much doesn't. So no complaints here. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to start with how has this last year and change been for you? How have you guys been holding up through everything that's been going on in the world?
Wow. Well, I think we probably have different answers to that. I'm mostly in town writing throughout the year anyway. And so I was able to, using this fine technology of Zoom, So it definitely changed where I wasn't in the room with people, but I was still able to, I mean, I've got a studio behind my house. And so I was still kind of able to keep it moving forward. But as you know, that's just on a business level. I mean, emotionally and like just like everybody else, it's been wild.
Yeah, yeah, sorry if you wanted to respond to that.
No, you're good. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, Peter and I have our together thing with Hush Kids, and we have our separate things. And so, sounds like he was doing a lot of writing on his own. I wasn't really doing that much writing with other people. I was doing some on my own, just like me and myself, which was fun. It was like kind of sparked an old new thing for me, because I used to write by myself a lot. And so that was really fun to get back into. And then I was just like, I did some touring and things like that in my RV, like outdoor house shows, basically, with masks required. But yeah, it was a crazy year, and a lot of togetherness for my family, which was overall a very, very good thing, but also stressful because we homeschooled our kids, and it was kind of nuts, but good.
I know about that. It was not easy. And I'll tell you, on the homeschooling piece, it wasn't even just that. It was, for me, it being in Napa, like it's a high fire area. And so they had planned power shutoffs at home. And so, and I'm divorced, so we have split custody. And so I wasn't just, I had to stay in hotels and work from hotels, and then do the distance learning thing, drive from the hotel to my kid's mom's house and do the distance learning thing at their house, and all of that. It was quite a test, I'll tell you. So
yeah.
Wow,
I know what you mean.
That sounds very stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is I've talked to a lot of bands, and the Zoom thing, like you said, Peter, has been really a great way for me to talk to a lot of different bands that I wouldn't normally. Usually interview bands that come through the Bay Area, at the concerts, but this has been such a good opportunity to talk to so many bands I wouldn't otherwise get to talk to. And so it's a great platform, but there's a lot of, everybody's got a story, is what I've learned, right? And it's about listening into how this is impacting everybody, right? And Jill, kudos to you for being able to do shows. A lot of bands, weren't able to do that same sort of thing. How are those house shows?
Thank you. Yeah, they were honestly amazing, for me and for the audiences too, because everyone just seemed really starved for entertainment. And it was very cool because I got to work with just fans, basically, just people that like my music. And so I would just call them up and tell them kind of the whole protocol. Okay, everyone's gonna have to wear masks, and we're gonna have hand sanitizer everywhere, and everyone's gonna have to sit at least 6 feet apart. And it was a lot of work for everyone, but it was very fulfilling for me, and I think for the people that were there, just to hear the music. So yeah, I was really happy to do that for sure. And also it was fun for me and my family, because we were in the RV together, and we spent a lot of time hiking in national parks and stuff, which I think they would probably recall some of that hiking as maybe torture, but
it what doesn't kill you make you stronger, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How far did you get with the RV? Like how much did you tour?
We went all the way out to Washington State, which was awesome. We just a really quick story about that. We were going over, I think it's called the Hood River Gorge.
There is one.
I think that's what it's called. And it's this bridge. And we pulled up, and Jared was driving. Jared's my husband. He was driving the RV. And I was so nervous in this RV. Like I feel like I almost had panic attacks, and I've never had panic attacks before. It's just, you're so high off the ground, and I feel so out of control when I'm not in the driver's seat.
I can attest to that.
How that is. We've done some touring together, so he knows. Anyways, we pull up to this bridge, and Jared's like, is this gonna fit through there? He asked the guy at the tip, and the guy was like, oh yeah, semis drive through this all the time. And we were like, okay. And I just closed my eyes and was like kind of internally, but maybe outwardly screaming a little bit, just like kind of like that. And we hit the side of the bridge.
Oh, no.
It was awful. I just was like bawling. I thought I was dead. I thought everyone was dead. But we passed a semi truck, and the airstream that came off of that was just like whoosh right into the. Anyways, that was our one big scare.
You live to tell the tale though, so that's good, right?
Yeah, I did, and the RV did too. So
yeah,
and I drove literally the rest of the trip. I drove from Washington State all the way back to Tennessee.
I feel like our first tour, we rented a minivan or something like that, something funny. And I started out driving, and within 15 minutes, Jill was like white knuckled. And I was like, I'm a good driver. And I was like, you know what, maybe you should drive. And since then, like, thousands of miles later, Jill drives all the time, unless she like can't anymore. I'm the navigator, and
it's the best way to go. Like Peter doesn't seem to mind. I don't know, do you mind?
I would much rather that than
than the alternative.
Also, I'm terrible at navigation, and you're so good at it, and Jared is so good at it. He's just like sitting there like like zooming in on his Google Maps. And Peter's so good at like finding us hotels and restaurants and all the good spots.
That's the fun part of touring.
Yeah.
What type of food do you guys like to have when you're on tour? What do you look for?
Oh man, I mean, anything. I'm trying to think of. We like O'Charlie's.
What is O'Charlie's?
What is O'Charlie's?
We don't have that here. I don't know.
That is so promising.
It's like a TGF Fridays, but
okay.
But no, we don't go there. We've been there once just for fun, and it was just awful.
I mean, it wasn't awful. We have a lot of fun touring, so it doesn't matter if we're eating at O'Charlie's or at like a 5-star restaurant.
Yeah, we have a wide range.
Yeah. I would say healthy food is kind of my vibe, and pretty much your vibe too, right?
Yeah, I think being on the road, I don't always eat like. I eat pretty well, like pretty clean in general. But when you're on the road, it's I don't know, it's
hard.
It's a whole different animal. So
yeah,
it's like as clean as you can keep it is it keeps you going a little bit better.
Yeah.
And with kids, I mean, Joe, you have 2 kids, and Peter, you have 1 kid, right? And I mean, how do you? Oh, you have 2. Okay, yeah, yes, you have a newborn, right?
Actually, she's 2. She just turned 2.5. The younger one.
Okay. Okay.
She was a newborn.
She was a
newborn once. So you each have 2 kids. Obviously, things have been different the past 1.5 years, an RV tour aside. Like, how do you balance that between family and going out on tours, either individual for your own projects or together with Hush Kids?
I think it's good because we each have 2 kids. If one of us didn't have any kids, that person would probably be pushing harder to do stuff, but we both have the same mentality. Like, we can go out for 4 or 5 days and that's about it. Or I mean, Jill can bring her whole family, but we haven't figured out a whole situation where we can bring everybody out. I mean, that would be awesome.
2 RVs.
But no, it works because we have the same end goal. We want to be out there and play, but we also want to be with our families. So there's not much of a struggle there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, over the pandemic, we've had a really good friend of mine who's been helping with the kids. She's been kind of nannying 3 days a week, and that's been like a game changer because both of the kids have been out of school. I have a 5-year-old, and she was in pre-K, and then I have a 12-year-old in 5th grade. So we like homeschooled, and she helped with that whole process. She was like teaching him social studies and science, and I don't know. So we've like piecemealed it all together. But yeah, this is my little studio office, and I just come down here and shut the door. That's one way I deal with it all.
It's a good way to do it,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a similar, my studio is removed from our house. So I'm close. I'm only like 100 feet away, but I can, I hope my wife doesn't listen to this, or, I hope she doesn't, maybe other episodes, but if I go out there, they know not to mess with me. And so I'm not saying I'm always like, writing hard thinking, sometimes I'll watch a YouTube video or 10.
You scandal.
Right after.
Yeah, they just
Getting
keep
time
going.
for yourself? What?
My wife doesn't get that though, so she probably
Doesn't get
No,
as
I'm
much
just
as
kidding.
like-
She does. We try to take care of each other and give the space.
Yeah.
Everybody goes crazy at the same time.
Yeah.
Is it looking good in Nashville for kids going back to school full time? Yeah.
It is right now, but it seems like, I don't know, everybody's talking about everything closing down again. So
Are they?
or at least masking. I mean, it's
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we're both vaxxed, and my whole family is, and it's like, but that whole ongoing, I don't know, now having to, like, I felt like I did my thing, and I was talking to my wife this morning. The same people that didn't get vaxxed the first time, I mean, we have to now wear masks even though you're vaccinated, because of the people that didn't get vaccinated, and they're not going to wear masks. Like in Tennessee, I don't know how it is in Napa, I'm sure it's very different, but in Tennessee, people don't care. There's like, I would say half the people, especially where I'm from. I mean, Nashville is different. Nashville people are, it's pretty liberal, but I live in a suburb north, and people don't care. There's a mandate and people still don't care. So it's pretty frustrating.
Yeah, most care out here, but there's those that don't. And I was having the same conversation with my best friend this morning as well. The same thing. It's those that don't, that are making us have to go back to this thing and not allowing us to move forward, right? So it sucks and it's unfortunate. And as far as the schools, like I'm hopeful that it's able to be full time. They can be masked if they need to, but I don't want to do the distance learning thing again. Like, no thanks.
The distance thing seemed like it was, it was kind of seemed like it had to happen, but gosh, it just seems like so many kids kind of got lost in the shuffle in that whole thing. Even, parents that can be attentive, it's hard to keep a kid engaged.
Oh man.
In a screen. That sounds like a nightmare. And I didn't do that. We just straight up homeschooled. Like we took them out of school and just like bought hard copy books and stuff, because that just sounded so hard. Yeah,
my wife was doing the online thing with my older in first grade. And this morning, like I said, we were talking about the mask situation, and she was just, I don't know, just like, it's not fair. And then she's like, and if I have to homeschool next year, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Like, and my wife is not, she doesn't swear really ever. She's a very small, like meek, very like the sweetest person you've ever met. And I was just like, oh, okay, all right. You can edit that.
Homeschooling will drive you there.
Yeah.
Or distance learning, especially. Yeah. It's a mess. We can talk about that the whole podcast. It's fine. Sure. We both, like that's all. If you're a parent, you get it, right? So it's fine. So your story with Hush Kids is pretty cool, because you guys started out kind of just like writing a song together, and then it kind of turned into 2 songs, and it wasn't even intended to be like a full band, but just kind of this collaboration together, and became Hush Kids. Tell me kind of about that process for you guys of kind of beginning and finding that connection through your writing.
Well, yeah. So in Nashville, it's very common for people to get together and write a song, even strangers, like your publisher will set you up with another person and you may have never met them before. And, you get in a room and you start talking, and, sometimes it goes really well and you write a great song and you make a good connection, and sometimes it goes really poorly, and sometimes the song you come out with is just like shit. So I remember the first time that Peter and I got together, we had never met, but we knew people in the same friend group, and so I had heard his name, and he'd heard my name, maybe, I don't know, I'm assuming. But yeah, so we got together, and I remember, I hadn't written with a ton of people at this point, but I had written with several. And I remember, the song we wrote, we released on our full-length album because we loved it so much. It was our very first song. And I just remember, the feeling of writing that song, and it just felt so natural and true and not like fabricated at all. Like it felt like a very organic song that we wrote that was really beautiful and so fun to sing with Peter, because he's got like one of the most angelic male voices in the universe, and so to be able to write a song that felt like of us, so much of us, and to be able to then perform it with him when we were like when we were recording it, and it felt, we worked out the parts, and it just felt so fun and, flawless in a way. It was really special, because sometimes you get together with people and they can't really play things and they can't really sing, and it's just like a lot of that, and so it just felt like a good fit.
Yeah, it was easy. I mean, maybe not easy, but it flowed easily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then speaking of flowing easily, I mean, you moved to your second song, Love Don't Disappear, that was, actually not physically flowing because you wrote it in the back of a boat that was not moving. So why did you choose that location to write that song and not take the boat out on water per se, or what have you?
Well, it takes a couple hours to get the boat out. It's on a trailer. And I just remember, I think Jill told it recently, we were kind of stalling a little bit, or spinning our wheels, and that's a really weird, again, we still didn't know each other super well. This was the second day we hung out, and so when you don't know somebody, it's hard to navigate whether you just go get lunch, or like, let's just stop, let's not worry about it today, let's come back to it, or you push through.
Yeah.
And I think it was like, we need a change of scenery. I was like, do you want to go sit on my boat? She's like, cool, where's your boat? I was like, oh, it's right there in the gravel. And so I pulled back the top, like the cover, and grabbed a couple beers, and we sat in the sun and looked at my house and finished the song.
Inspiration struck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you go in to write a song, is it always that intentional? Like, okay, we got to get a song out today, or do you kind of let it be free form and you guys kind of bring things to the table generally, like you'll take notes individually in the notes app on your phone or something, and then come back to each other? Do you like to write together?
I think all of the ways that you just said are ways that you can. So either somebody brings almost a full idea, or a verse, or a chorus, or some chords, or you start with nothing, or I mean, somebody might have a title. There's many ways to get to it. I think that's one thing that I don't love about the Nashville mentality, is that you have to get it done that day. And I would rather, I mean, not saying I'm a purist or other people are different, but as I've been writing, every year that I write, I'm less precious with, or less, maybe more precious, like, let's give it the space it needs, let's come back to it. We don't, like, if you have to push something just to say you finished it, is that the best song? And it also depends on what it's for. If it's for us and it's something that we are passionate about, we can let it breathe. If it's for a commercial or a TV show, and it's like, sometimes they need something by end of day, so it's like, let's just crank something out. So it can really be a lot of different things.
Yeah, it always feels good to me personally to go in with some idea, like whether it's a melody or a lyric, but oftentimes I go in with nothing. It's true. I mean, I just, anytime I have an idea, I'll just record it, but I always forget that I have that bank of things, because I'm just not organized.
Well, and my voice memos are like, I have 1,000 of them, but they're all like
You're gonna look at them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
gonna go through each of them for the last 6 months.
Let's hear it.
We got some.
Aw.
New recording 240, new recording 235. Terrible horn song. Why would I name like?
This is definitely something we're going to use, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it does feel good to have an idea going in, but
Definitely.
oftentimes, like inspiration strikes anyways. That's what I've found, at least, that, a lot of times we get together and maybe neither one of us has an idea, but we can come out with a really great song kind of out of nowhere, seemingly.
Yeah. So I want to get to whether. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, I think part of that is because we're such good friends, like we sit and we talk. A lot of times we just sit and talk and kind of catch up, with each other's lives and stuff, and we know each other's families really well. And so you can write something, oftentimes about what comes up in conversation.
Yeah. So I want to talk about Weatherman in a little bit, but first I want to talk about some of your individual music outside of that, and kind of the approaches and the balance for you guys. Like, first off, I mean, what is kind of the agreement or understanding for you guys as far as Hush Kids? How much time investment does that take versus your individual stuff? You both put out new music over the past kind of year and a half of COVID as well, individually outside of Hush Kids.
Yeah, there's not really an agreement. I think we came into it, or we kind of fell into it. Jill already had a solo career. She was kind of in between records when we made our push, if you will. I think we just kind of take it as it comes. Yeah, there's no friction in terms of that. It's like, we know that there's a lot going on, and when we find time to, it's always easy to depend on us working together. So there's not a whole lot of planning going into that.
Yeah.
Easy. So I mean, that works. So Joe, as you put out a full-length album, 30s, last year. Tell me kind of about that process for you, of bringing that new album out. Was it something you had mostly done before COVID, and then it kind of found the right time to put it out, or?
The right time to put it out.
I know there's no right time. I heard so many bands say, like, yeah, we've had to sit on this album for a year because I was ready, and and there's nothing we could do with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I had been working on it I had been writing the songs for years, honestly, but I had been working on making the album for probably a year and a half or so. And Peter was heavily involved in that record, by the way. He was, I hired a few different people to come and play in the studio. It was Peter, Daniel Tashin, Ian Fitchuk, Todd Lombardo. They were all my people, and we went to the studio and recorded for like 4 days. And Peter sings all over it. And that was really fun to involve you, and for you to be willing to be involved in it, for me, because it was my first solo record after we released the Hush Kids record. And then Lucas, I brought it to Lucas Morton, and he played all over it and sang all over it as well, and produced it. So yeah, it was not an ideal time to release it, to answer your question. But it had been planned for like a year. I hired a publicist. The wheels were grinding away, everything was in motion, and it was kind of like a train that we couldn't stop. I don't know why I'm saying so many metaphors, but anyways.
Throw some more in there. We're good.
Yeah, I was like on a raft on a very tall waterfall, just like the rapids were, it was like class 6. So, but yeah, couldn't stop it. I could have stopped it, but it would have felt weird, I think. So I don't know. I'm glad I put it out, and I'm really proud of that record, and I don't know. I got to do some touring with it, and that was great. So yeah, I don't know. It was good.
And you mentioned Ian Fitchuk. You guys worked with him for Weatherman also. Tell me, what does he bring out of you creatively?
We wrote Weatherman. That was our first, or at least my first co-write in the COVID times.
Me too.
We hung out on his back porch, and so he produced our first record, and that was our first kind of thing getting back to Hush Kids, and we loved it. Jill brought it. Speaking of bringing in ideas, Jill brought in, I don't know how much of it, but it was the gist of the song, and it was like, it was a great song to come back with. He played some stuff on it. He and I kind of messed around for a day, sent it to Jill, she sang on it, and then we ran with it.
Nice. And Joe, you opened for the Avett Brothers and you were able to play Red Rocks. Like, we could talk for another hour. Like, we talked for, about the kids. We could talk for so long about Red Rocks. Like, it was this place that I talked to so many bands, and they'd always told me about how magical Red Rocks was, and I'd never been there. And then 2019, I was, I planned a trip just to go to Red Rocks, and I didn't care who was playing. Really, it ended up being Weird Al and the Colorado Symphony, which is awesome, of course.
That is amazing.
Wow.
You saw Weird Al at Red Rocks?
Yes, I did.
Wow. I saw Weird Al at the Fresno Fair.
Yes,
Fresno,
that's awesome.
California.
I did too. How long ago was that?
No, at the Fresno Fair?
Yes, at the Fresno Fair. Because I was living in Fresno for a year. Hold on, no, let me say it. It was 2007.
No.
Does he play in there?
I know.
The headliner all the.
Was it raining during the show?
I can't remember that piece.
It wasn't the same year.
Okay,
No,
okay.
it wasn't the same year. I think it was like 2001.
Okay, yeah, yours is definitely well before me then, but
yeah, somewhere around there. That is nuts. Maybe he's from Fresno. I'll have to do some wiki searching on
he's like, we got to work in the Fresno Fair. I don't care where the tour goes, but it's got to be the Fresno Fair. It's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I have since gotten my kids really into Weird Al.
Yeah.
Really into Weird Al. And I will say I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, I have a mandatory Weird Al playlist that I built, on my phone. And I don't use a lot of playlists, but I just play what I want usually. But Weird Al, good mix there, absolutely. And so that was cool. And so what was it like to play Red Rocks for you?
It was awesome. It was an incredible opportunity. It was so hot that my guitar was like sticky and my arm was literally, it was stuck to it at certain times during the show. It was so hot, and I wore a turtleneck, and I don't know why I did that. I had this like standard stage outfit that I wore that you've
like
seen many times. It's like a navy blue. It's not a full-on turtleneck. It's not like when you flip over, but it's just like, well, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. But it was long sleeves, navy blue, and then I had these like pants on, and I just wasn't anticipating that it was gonna be
so hot.
That it was gonna be so hot, but it really was. So
this isn't yanking my own chain or anything, but so I can't admit, I played Red Rocks too, but I was just playing keys, so I was on the side, like I was not looking out, although I could, but I was looking at the artist that I was playing for. I can't imagine, being front and center, looking up at like actually being what everybody's looking at. That would be insane.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful place. It's a very magical place. Whoever made that place was very, very cool and smart. So yeah, I loved it, and I love the Avett Brothers too. They've been super supportive of me. So.
Yeah. I mean, magical is the word for that. I mean, it's just what a great, incredible environment, and to have a venue like that built into the rock. It was so cool to get to go there. So Peter, some of your music. So you put out "My Sister, My Brother." Actually, I guess tell me a little bit about that process for you. And was it the same sort of thing where the timing it just had to come out?
Well, we put it out knowing nothing about COVID. We put it out, and I think well, let me start at the beginning. So that was formed the same, at like a kind of the same way that Jill and I got together. It was arranged, and we wrote a song, and it was like, wow, that was awesome. Let's do it again. And we wrote another one. It was like, wow, that was awesome too. So it's almost the same, a similar story. That's a whole different band, it's a whole different thing, because it's one of the only, well, it is the only time that I've been in a project, but I'm not singing. And I think singing is probably what I do the best. So it's interesting for me to just be like a writer producer, but also be in like, I wasn't necessarily looking for another band to be in.
Yeah.
But the music is awesome. And Sean McConnell and Garrison Starr are the other two members, and they're awesome. Just amazing people, kind of the same deal where we became really good friends. And so we made this EP, put it out. I think it was scheduled to come out March 8th or 13th or something, and then everything shut down. And then we all got COVID because they were in the UK touring this stuff. I didn't go because I wasn't singing, so I didn't want to it was, sorry, this is long-winded, but it was Sean. It was Sean's tour. Garrison opened, and then they did My Sister, My Brother set in the middle. So I wanted to go, but I would have, they were being paid to play the shows, and I would have had to pay to go. So I was like, I don't know, it's not great. But anyway, they brought the COVID back from the UK, and we all got terribly sick.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that.
Wow.
And then the EP came out, and nothing happened.
And then nothing happened.
Well, you survived COVID, so that's good, right? I mean,
That happened.
Did you have to quarantine yourself from your family and everything? Like, what did that look like?
I didn't know. It was early enough that I didn't even know. I didn't think it was COVID. We found out. I mean, I think they announced we shut down. Do you remember when we shut down?
When we shut down?
It was like St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Yeah,
right
it was
around
in March.
Yeah.
I think we still thought it was like a distant. There was maybe one case in the U.S. or something. So we didn't even think. We didn't think anything about COVID.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Jill and I, this is funny, very different story, but we had been on Kayama, a music cruise, right before, like
February 1st through
I don't even
6th or something.
Yeah.
7th.
And I mean, this is still when everybody, we're on a cruise ship, and it's like vacation. Everybody's joking around about Coronas, and I was like, like Coronas. And I was like, I don't know, it seemed so distant. But like right when we got back, that's when all the cruise ships were being held off off port, and we were like, woohoo, we got
dodged that bullet, but then
that was
it got you anyway. Oh.
Sure did. Hit me right in the butt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have you have another EP come to life. Did you just put that out, or is it coming out?
That was a couple months ago. So that's another. I didn't want another band, so I'm.
So you joined one anyway.
So I joined one. Yeah. So it's a production duo. Some friends of mine that have been working together for years. They grew up together in Louisiana, and same thing. We wrote one song we were arranged to be put together. We at the end had 6 songs that were all awesome, and we're like, well, we better put them out. So but I love that stuff too. It's all very different music.
Yeah.
Tell me about playing Conan.
Oh man,
I'm a big Conan fan too, by the way. Like I years ago I know I asked you a question and then I interrupted to tell my own story, but
let me tell you about it.
Pause your thought. No, but I went back to New York back when he had the old late night show, and I interviewed La Bamba on his old late night show, and I got to shake Conan's hand when he came through the audience and everything. I was a super fan of Conan, so
I was too. That was my first late night. I was playing with a guy named Landon Pig, and we were in New York already, and got an email, or I don't even know if people were. I didn't have an iPhone then, but it was like, we're playing Conan tomorrow night, and we were all like, what? And then we found out that Will Ferrell was the guest, and I was like, oh shit. So I was just out texting my girlfriend at the time or something in the hallway, and Conan and Will were just standing in the hallway, both enormous, like taller than the ceiling, ginormous people. And like to hear the two of them just like as friends making jokes and cracking each other up, like just not on stage and not on TV, but just being people. I was like, it was definitely a moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And did he come to your dressing room and like introduce himself and everything?
He did not. The only, again, this sounds like I'm not saying this to brag. The nicest guy and my least favorite late night host is Jay Leno, but he was so nice. He came and talked with us for like 20 minutes. He took pictures with everybody. He was
Jay Leno.
Yeah, he was the coolest. But I get it. You know, it's their job. They do it every day. Like,
yeah.
If we were like whatever Foo Fighters, I'm sure he would have come to hang out. But
wait, are you saying Jay Leno did come?
Jay Leno did. He hung out a lot.
Oh, nice.
He was very hospitable.
Oh, that's cool.
But I don't really like him.
Yeah. Because of the Conan thing, or just in general, like.
I think before that, but that certainly solidified it.
Left bad taste in. It seems right. I went to a taping of Leno once and was front row and I got to go up on stage with him and get a Polaroid with him and everything. So he's cool to his audience. I can't speak to how he is as a person, obviously, outside of that environment, but it was enjoyable. So tell me about collaborating with John Mayer.
Oh, I don't know who put that in my bio. That's not.
It's fake, totally fake news. Okay.
Well, okay, let me give you I don't know. We need to fix that. So I played with a band when I was 18 in Nashville. I moved to Nashville to play with a band called Llama that before I was in the band opened for John Mayer.
Okay.
But I don't have anything to do with John Mayer. I've met him once. He's a he's a guy. But no, I've never collaborated with him.
I listen to John Mayer a lot and I love him.
I wouldn't mind collaborating with him, but as
Joe would like you very much to collaborate with John Mayer. Can you do that, please? Okay.
Actually, I'm going to make a note about that. That's embarrassing.
Why don't you just call him right now?
Yeah.
Can we get him on? You got his number, right? Come on. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Weatherman, and then I know you guys said you can play a song, right? So.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So tell me about the new EP, Weatherman. You already talked about working with Ian a little bit, but how did it come? Weatherman come about in this environment? Did you guys work collaboratively through Zoom, or I think you've done some recording out on porches over COVID time as well, right?
Yeah. You were doing a long inhale, so I was like, does he have words?
I was going to.
Okay.
Well, so Weatherman, we wrote with Ian. Everything else, it was kind of, we just kind of looked at what we like sorted through things that we already had written. That I think for our first record, we pared down from 17 to 10 songs, and not because we didn't like the other ones, just because we had to fit a certain time frame. And so we looked, like, I think I remember just scrolling through all of our demos or voice memos, and I was like, we have an EP that we could. I mean, it took a lot more work than I always like to sell things. I'm like, we could put this out right now, and it's like, well, it might be a little bit harder than that. And then basically, I think we had one other new song, but the middle four were things that we had already gotten pretty close to finishing or had a voice memo of. Usually, like our last record, we had a bunch of people play on it, and we relied heavily on other people's production and mixing, and but this we did outside from help from a couple of our friends, Ian and our friend Court Clement, who played guitar on a couple of songs. We pretty much did it just Jill and I at my studio, in the past couple of months.
So we didn't write any new songs for it except Weatherman, which we wrote in the pandemic. But like there's a song on it called Look at the Sun. And we had a voice memo of that song, and it was just like a guitar. It was like really country, like duet sounding, like a plunky sort of country sounding duet. And it was just so fun to get into the studio with Peter and just use our own abilities. Just, you know, he and I to kind of make something sound cool. And so it was like we turned that song, which could have just been like a plunky country duet, into something that's like really, I don't know what you'd call it now.
I don't know, ethereal is like a weird.
That's the word I was going to use too, but I don't really know what that means.
There's definitely ethereal sounds. I don't know. It's just kind of like free and
yeah. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, we definitely, you know, Peter mixed the whole thing and did a really nice job with all of that. And we kind of co-produced as much as we could. And, you know, like you said, we relied on a few people for sure. Conrad was another one. Conrad Snyder. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to, by doing that, I mean, we paid people, but we paid like a very, very small fraction of what we did for our last record. And we realized that, first of all, it was a little bit more fun to have, and I mean, it's rewarding. It was harder because, you know, I mix all the time, but I don't mix stuff that and put it out like things that I'm, you know, I usually trust other people to do stuff that I'm performing.
Yeah.
So I was my head was way deep into these songs. I could listen, you know, there's probably like 50 versions of one song or something like that. So
yeah,
it was really intense, but very rewarding now that it's done. And I remember sending Jill the mixes, and she's like, "These sound like I don't have any changes to certain." You know, she had a couple things, but just being like, "Really? That's the note? Okay,
I did it."
Let's cook's in the kitchen, right? So
yeah,
it's good, and it comes out September. Yeah, September 24th. Yeah, go ahead.
It's also fun. Like, I don't know, as a musician, it's so easy to like hire a producer and be like, well, what do you think we should do? But instead of doing that on some of these songs, we looked at each other and we were like, what do we think we should do?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it was fun. I mean, we were like on one of the songs, we were like clanging glasses of water with a spoon together. And there was like, Peter had this random bubble
oh yeah, forgot
stuff. I don't know,
Bubble
like
wrap.
packing bubble wrap. We were just like crunching it in the microphone and just random stuff. It was so fun. It was so fun.
Jill said one day, like, let's just get really weird, and if it's cool, we'll keep it. If it's not cool, then we'll get rid of it and do something else. But like, let's not be scared to get weird. And I was like, yes, okay.
Remember, there was a period of time where I was like, you had a room mic set up, and I was like going in and out of the door in and out of your door, and I was just like stomping with my feet, and there were birds in the background. Did we keep any of it?
No.
Oh, you didn't use it? Yeah. Well,
that was experimental.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. And I mean, it sounds like a good segue to go into playing a song maybe from Weatherman.
Cool.
Yeah, sure.
I think we're going to do Love Don't Disappear, which is the most recent to come out, right?
Sure enough.
We might need to back up off the thing a little bit.
Okay.
Just to not blast.
Let me do this a little bit here. Is that helpful? Seems like
yeah.
It. Okay.
find me when I'm all alone. Find me when I'm far from home and all I know. Ooh, I call your name out loud. Ooh, can you hear? Can you hear? Ooh, get through to you somehow. Ooh, don't disappear. Love, tell me that you'll stay with me. Love, if I set you free. Oh, love, will you remember me? If I had you, I would hold on tight every day and every night for all my life. Ooh, I call your name out loud. Ooh, can you hear? Can you hear? Ooh, get through to you somehow. Ooh, don't disappear. Don't disappear. Love, don't disappear.
Love it. Your voices together are so amazing, and individually, but also, you know, they balance each other really well. So
Thank you.
Thanks.
What was that cue you gave me that I missed?
Oh, I was trying to cut it early.
Oh. Like you said, like, "Rrr," and I was like, what?
and we're done. No. Yeah. So so as we kind of go forward, what does touring look like? Yeah, supporting the EP. What are you guys able to do?
We have nothing on the books at the moment. Well, that's not true. No, we're playing during Americana Fest.
Yeah, so there's a huge thing in Nashville, Americana Fest, where everybody from all over the world. It's amazing when you meet people from like Australia. They're like, I play Americana, and I'm like, no, how is that even possible? I mean, that's fine, but what is Americana? I don't know.
Australicana.
Australicana. I mean, people from like Tokyo, and like, what in the world? Anyway, I mean, I guess Nashville can't own Americana, but it seems like it kind of does. Anyway, we're doing
% stake. We'll take it. So
yeah, we're doing that in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's in September,
Okay.
Mid-September, I
Couple
believe.
months.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing that, and honestly, we don't really have much else planned at the moment. We kind of just wanted to release this EP and get it out into the world, and just, you know, see how it goes. We're both working on our own things at this moment, so
no shortage of music coming from either of you, right? So
I think so.
no.
yeah, I like it. Well, Joe, Peter, thank you too for taking the time and playing a song, and you did give me some insight into everything that it's been like for you two, and how you guys got together and everything. I really enjoyed our chat. So.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Steve, thanks.
too. Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe I'll see you in Fresno at some point.
Yeah, we'll just meet. I haven't been there since I left. I did no need to be back, but for Weird Al, I will meet you there for sure. So
That is really the strangest thing I've ever heard.
it is a big coincidence, right?
If the three of us can share Weird Al and each have our own turkey leg,
Maybe we can share a turkey leg.
we probably should.
Yes, that's great. We'll let COVID
That's
pass.
what I ate during the Weird Al concert, was a turkey leg.
Was it? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
In the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny because, I mean, we'll just keep going on Weird Al, but no, I was working for Comcast, the local station, TV station back then, and so I didn't even have tickets to it, but I snuck down to like second row, and just acted as if I had my Comcast badge, so I acted as if I was supposed to be there, right? And got to watch from second row, which is really cool. So
Wow.
That was really funny.
he puts on a good show, for sure.
He does. He does.
So, all right. Well, meet you in Fresno then, okay?
Okay, sounds good. We'll see you later.
That was the interview with Hush Kids here on Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to the final segment on the program, the music news. All right. I have some stories, and unfortunately, it's not all good news this week. It's always tough when you lose people who are pivotal in the music industry. And first up in this week's lost legends, I guess you'll say, is founding Slipknot member and acclaimed drummer Joey Jordison. He died at age 46, which is crazy. It's just so young, and he's best known as the drummer, co-songwriter, and co-founder of Slipknot, as well as guitarist for the horror punk group Murder Dolls. I saw him with Slipknot, I think, once, but I also saw him play drums with this other band, and I'm trying to remember what their name is actually offhand, but I can't think of it. But this was like 15 years ago. But he played at this old venue in San Francisco called the Pound, and it was really big that he was playing there. And he's a badass freaking drummer. And so the statement goes like this: "We're heartbroken to share the news that Joey Jordison, prolific drummer, musician, and artist, passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 26, 2021. He was 46. Joey's death has left us with empty hearts and feelings of indescribable sorrow. To those that knew Jody, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, it's the beer. I'm having another sip. To those that knew Joey, understood his quick wit, his gentle personality, giant heart, and his love for all things family and music. The family of Joey have asked that friends, fans, and media understandably respect our need for privacy and peace at this incredibly difficult time. The family will hold a private funeral service and ask that media and public to respect their wishes. No cause of death was given." That's the interesting piece. Like, he's so young. How is there no cause of death? I'm sure we'll hear more as time goes on, but it's really unfortunate. There's another loss we'll get into at the end of the show, but big week for, like I said, for losing some greats. I will talk about Fred Durst. Lollapalooza happened this past weekend, and this is great. I like this story. I'm going to share a picture for those that are watching. Those that are watching on YouTube. This is a picture of. I'm going to even give it a second because I know that anybody who watches this will not be able to identify this gentleman. There's just no way. But unless you know his tattoos, I guess. But this is a rock star from the 2000s. His name is Fred Durst. And the byline on this article is: "Fred Durst looks like a detective that let a case get the best of him." Limp Bizkit frontman Fred Durst has debuted his dramatic new look in public for the first time. Durst, who has rocked a distinctive goatee and backwards baseball cap for the majority of his new metal band's career, showed off his long, lighter colored hair and a new handlebar mustache during the band's setlist at Lollapalooza over the weekend. And he previously revealed the new look on Instagram last week, leading to mass confusion among fans. People don't even recognize him. Is that Fred Durst? Is that really him? I guess it's hard to know for sure. I met the guy once and at a concert down in LA, and this does not look like the guy that I met, but we'll go with it, right? While his new hairstyle looks suspiciously like a wig, the Lollapalooza performance saw him adding a pair of bright red shades to the ensemble alongside a jacket that was only zipped up at the top. commenting on Durst's gray-haired look, one fan said, "Keep your mobility scooter rolling, 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 rolling." Another said Durst looked like a detective that let a case get the best of him. So people are cracking some fun at middle-aged Fred Durst, and I don't think we need that, do we? What? I don't know if I mean Fred Durst or the jokes that are being cracked, but he played Lollapalooza, and I'm sure fans were excited to do it all for the Nookie. So it's yet to be revealed if his new look is tied to the new release from Limp Bizkit, although bassist Wes Borland recently delivered a positive update on their long-awaited 6th album. I'm sure many people are on the edge of their seat, Stampede of the Disco Elephants. The band announced the title of the album way back in 2012, and in 2014 shared the single Endless Slaughter, supposedly taken from the record. This is an album that's 9 years in the making, apparently, is what they're saying. The full LP, the follow-up to 2011's Gold Cobra, is yet to appear, but Borland says the progress is being made. We've probably, in the last 10 years, been in the studio to try and complete the record, I want to say 7 times to different studios. He said on a podcast with Avenged Sevenfold's Johnny Christ. So they announced last month a run of UK shows for 2022. I guess that means that this may be the only performance of the year for West Borland and the Biscuit as well, right? So, and Fred Durst. So I guess we'll see. Another interesting story was Guns N' Roses played November Rain at their first COVID era show. Hershey, Pennsylvania show also featured the band's first live performance of the Stooges' I Wanna Be Your Dog. They played their first show since the start of the pandemic Saturday night at Hershey Park Stadium in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The band basically stuck with the standard set list they've been doing since reuniting with Slash and Duff McKagan in 2016 for the Not in This Lifetime tour, though they did premiere the cover of the Stooges' I Wanna Be Your Dog during the portion of the night where Duff takes over on lead vocals. There's a fan shot video online of November Rain. It begins with Rose having a little trouble with his mic placement and calling out a tech to fix it. Earlier in the set, they played Use Your Illusion 1, Deep Cut Dead Horse, a cover of Velvet Revolver Slither, and Welcome to the Jungle, which opened with a bit of Link Wray's instrumental classic Rumble. Soul Encore was Paradise City, making the set a few songs shorter than a typical Gun show. And you know what? They're going to be playing Bottle Rock here in September, right? And I'm excited. Like I've seen Guns N' Roses once, but without this classic lineup with Duff and Slash, and during the Chinese Democracy tour, and it was great. So if the bar's here for Guns N' Roses, and again they were 2 hours late when I saw them to come on the stage, but still worth it. If it's here, I can't wait to see the original lineup, and I'm sure it's going to be up there. And if they play November Rain, by the way, my favorite Guns N' Roses song, I will be freaking stoked. That'll be freaking awesome. I can't wait. So more to come, and of course I'll report back on their Bottle Rock set when that time comes. Okay. Like I said, I have to close the music news out with a sad story, but we typically close out with a Dave Grohl story in some capacity on Concert Pipeline. This one is Dave Grohl related, and Foo Fighters just kicked off their new tour. So they paid tribute to ZZ Top bassist and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee Dusty Hall, who died at age 72. Dusty Hall, the report goes, we are saddened by the news that our compadre Dusty Hill, has passed away in his sleep at home in Houston, Texas. We, along with the legends of ZZ Top fans around the world, will miss your steadfast presence, your good nature, and ensuring commitment to providing the monumental bottom to the top. We will forever be connected to that blues shuffle in C. You will be missed greatly, amigo. No cause of death given on this one. The sad news comes just 5 days after Hill was forced to pull out of a ZZ Top concert in New Lenox, Illinois, due to an injury. That was, I think, the first show that he had missed since 1969. The first time they played without him since 1969, which is crazy. But the show went on, and that's, you know, really what he wanted them to do. The ZZ Top was asked what their plans would be for going forward, you know, if they would continue without Dusty, and they said, in Dusty's words, that the show must go on. And like I said, tying it into Dave Grohl and Foo Fighter news, the Foo Fighters opened up their first tour with playing a tribute to ZZ Top. They played La Grange, actually, which is cool. So Dave Grohl and crew, badass as always, and our thoughts are out to the Dusty's family. So, all right, that is the show for today. So thank you for tuning into Concert Pipeline. Hopefully Jens will be able to make the next episode, but like I said, next week on the program we have Yumi and Everyone We Know. I have other interviews in the works as well lined up, so a lot coming down the pike, and concerts are coming back. And, you know, be safe, everybody, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Wear your mask. Let's go to concerts and keep some space, but, you know, but wear your mask and let's get through this together, okay? So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.